don't believe that my way of living is the right way, and I don't believe that this one singular diet is the best for everybody. Hey beautiful people, how are you? My name is Connor McMillan and you are watching ThrivingMinimalist.com, where we talk about minimalism. We also talk about abundant living, and everything leads back on this channel to health and to self-care and to self-love. So today I'm talking about some updates in my diet. I've talked about what I eat in a couple of other videos, and I've made some changes, and so I want to update you and share those with you because they're working super well. Let me go back 5 years ago and tell you just a little bit about the changes in my diet at that time. 5 years ago, 5+ years ago, for about a decade, I had been drinking a ton of alcohol, doing some hardcore drugs, eating whatever I wanted, being in relationships that were dispassionate. And although I really love my ex-wife and I love my friends from that time, most of those relationships weren't necessarily the healthiest. And everything kind of changed for me 5 years ago, and one of the things that really helped catapult me into health was changing my diet. It gave me something to focus on, it gave me something to be excited about, it gave me something to feel like I was in control of. And I was really in control of this thing. And I felt like, man, if I can just eat this specific way, I can do anything. And 5 years later, my focus on food and on diet has really decreased, but I do honor it because it has allowed me to find these other pillars of health. And, you know, like relationships, like mind health, like being in a mindful place, like being connected with self-observation, being in awesome places in the world that kind of feed me both emotionally and physically. Movement, I could go on and on and on. The diet that I was inspired by 5 years ago was a plant-based diet, primarily fruit, primarily raw, and it really worked for me. And in fact, it still is really working for me. So when I first changed my diet, I went from eating meat and drinking a lot of alcohol to just 100% pretty much overnight. Transition time took me about 7 days, but that's pretty much overnight as far as these things go. I went into eating 100% raw food, mostly carbohydrates, so mostly fruit and a very small amount of vegetables. And that just rocked for a very long time. Over the course of 4.5 years of doing this diet, I've experimented with more cooked food, then more raw food, maybe more calories here, less calories there, more kind of complicated raw items or even cooked items, less complicated, more mono meal kind of things. And I have found benefits on many different levels, at many different times, in many different places. And what's really important for me to say right here in this video is that I don't believe that one way of living is the right way for every human being. We do share a lot, you know, we're all humans. We all have very similar needs, but our chemical makeup, you know, both mentally and physiologically, really are going to determine what is best for you in all realms of life. And specifically, we're talking about diet. I have met a lot of people that just, you know, this fruit-based diet just doesn't work for them, whether it's an emotional or mental thing or it's a physiological reason. I don't believe that my way of living is the right way, and I don't believe that this one singular diet is the best for everybody. That being said, I think it is pretty amazing. And the things that I have seen people heal on this diet are phenomenal. Initially, I think I needed to heal a lot inside of my body because I had done a lot of damage with pretty unhealthy foods, but particularly the alcohol and the drugs. So I had a lot of healing to do in my intestines, in my stomach lining, in my colon, just how that whole system works. It's been a long time now, and I've gotten into movement, I've gotten into healthy relationships, I've gotten into a mindful practice, really into self-observation, self-love, taking care of myself. And at this point, I feel like I'm really healthy. But over the last year, I noticed that I was just feeling kind of like, not always on the verge of being sick, but just getting there too quickly. Just getting into these places where I just felt kind of run down or fatigued, or had kind of emotional swings, more than I would have expected for an otherwise kind of healthy system. And I think I've discovered a huge reason why, and that is what I want to talk about today. These changes in my diet that have really helped me emotionally and physically feel better in the last couple of months. So a couple of years ago, I started doing really hardcore movement practice. It's called partner acrobatics. Some people refer to it as acro yoga, but it's actually part of the acrobatics. Two different forms, there's L-basing and there's standing acro, and I do that stuff a lot, like many hours a week. It's full body, it's full on, it's full like mind and body exercise. And because of this, I have been burning a ton of calories. And I've put on muscle over the last couple of years, there's no doubt about it. But I have felt like, man, for the amount of working out that I'm doing, I'm surprised that I'm not feeling more muscle growth, or that I'm not feeling even stronger. Like, I'm really strong, but I don't know, like I work out all the time and I don't feel like the gains are there to the point that I would have expected. So I realized at some point, man, I think I'm not eating enough calories. And the fact is that I've always been, over the last couple of years and throughout my life, kind of hungry. Not all the time, but I get hungry very easily. I have a very high metabolism. Everyone's metabolism is different. Mine happens to be really high, and I need to eat a lot more calories than most people. Adding all of this working out that I do, I need to eat way more calories than most people, and I just didn't quite realize that. So over the last couple of months, I would say the biggest change to my diet, the 1 out of 3 biggest change, is increasing my calories at least to 30% higher, maybe 40% higher increase of calories. The other big change that I've made is increasing my fats and my protein intake. So the standard kind of American diet, as it's referred to, is a really high fat, pretty darn high protein diet. I am nowhere near those levels, but the high carbohydrate, low fat diet that is the fruit-based diet, or sometimes referred to as like a high carb cooked diet, which is more starches, is considered a very low fat, low protein diet. And I think that that is really awesome. It works really well. I do think that maybe when we start increasing our movement and we really get into hardcore movement, definitely for some of us, maybe not for all of us, but for some of us, we need to increase our fat and our protein intake. So I don't want to make big claims about this stuff and generalize a whole lot. I'm really basing this stuff off of experience, of talking to other people over the last 4.5 years within this high carbohydrate, high fruit-based diet community, and from personal experience. The last big change is that I have increased my cooked food intake, where I generally would eat maybe 10% of my diet from cooked food. I'm eating more like 40% or even 50% of my diet from cooked food now. So I'm having 2 huge fruit meals in the morning and the afternoon, and then sometime around 1, 2, 3, I'm switching over to cooked food. I'm still eating some raw food here or there, whatever, but the primary source is coming from cooked food. And most of these foods are coming from high carb sources like rice, or potatoes, or plantains, or some other cooked starch like that, oats I've been eating. And with that, this is where I've been adding some more fats and some more proteins. And the best thing that I found now that I'm here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, is young coconut meat or medium-aged coconut meat, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I've also been eating some more complicated cooked food things like a curry. So not like Twinkies or something, but like a curry or like a couple curries. I've also had some bread products, generally gluten-free, just because I think that that works a little bit better for my body. But I've had a couple of muffins, and I've also had some potato-based naan. They also make a lot of products here out of rice flour, so I've been enjoying some kind of rice flour things. So that's kind of as complicated of the foods as I'm getting. But this is a huge difference for me. The increase of calories, the increase of protein and fat, and the increase of cooked food. Okay, so what about the changes that I've actually seen in the last couple of months? Dude, I can't really even begin to tell you how awesome I feel. I must have been under eating for literally the last year and a half, easily, if not 2 or 3 or even 4 years. And I don't think this is really the case with most people, but with anyone with a really high metabolism, with anyone with a high metabolism and a lot of movement, some people can't understand that it's challenging to eat enough food. For other people, it's the other way around. But this is a real thing for me. Like, it's challenging to actually stay on top of eating enough calories. It's a pain in the ass. But I think I've got it down now with the system of having 2 raw meals and then 2 cooked meals. And I am feeling so much better. Like, my mood feels so much more sustained. I really feel present. I don't feel like I'm on kind of the verge of getting sick or like I'm dipping into that area. I'm getting really good sleep. And the other thing is that my muscles have grown visually, but most of all, I can feel it. There are moves that Brittany and I can do right now that we could not do 2 months ago. And like, these are really big moves, huge changes. I feel the power and the strength in my body in ways that I've never felt. My muscle recovery is through the roof. I mean, I might get like a little tear in my shoulder or something. Maybe I take one day, the next day I'm good to go. That wouldn't have been the case a few months ago. I might have like an injury come up and just be kind of out for like a week. I've had back pain and knee pain that has kind of been coming and going for the last couple of years since I started this practice, and I have not felt it once in the last 2 months. And if I do, it's like the teeniest little thing and it goes away. Overall, these changes have made a huge impact on my body, and I'm feeling so good about them.